Hello and welcome to Movie Mayhem here at Suspiria Works Cinema, where we watch all the movies. Today is a random movie review of the new Takashi Miike film, Lesson of the Evil. As far as I know, this has only been released in Japan and China, possibly some other Asian territories. Not sure if it'll get released here. If it does, it's always a toss-up if it's going to be butchered or not. I don't know why, but for some reason a lot of the American companies decide to buy, especially Miike films, and chop them to holy hell and release some awful version of a movie that anyone could buy for just about the same price as an import, where the import's way better visual quality and is the entire movie. At any rate, this is a new movie. If you're not familiar with Miike, I say check out some of his stuff. You might have heard of Ichi the Killer or Audition. Those were fairly well known. He did especially if you're going to delve into his little more violent and twisted, he did the Sukiyaki Western Django that had Tarantino in it, so I know a lot of people have heard of that. It's not, that's more, that's kind of the latter half 2000s of his work. He's, if you're familiar with him, he's done a lot of very excessively violent, gory, and really twisted movies. But he also likes to pump out anywhere between 4 and 8 movies in a year. So with that kind of output, you're obviously going to have some sketchy work in there. It's just too much. I don't even know how he does it. Even some of the greatest sleazemeisters didn't pump out movies as fast as he does. He also, the past 8-9 years, he's gotten into doing a lot more wider range of stuff, where he's even doing kids movies. And I mean, these are actual kids movies. They're not twisted kids movies. They're kids movies. He's always had a sense of humor in his films. I mean, even as far back as something like the Dead or Alive series, there's a lot of dark humor just all the way through it. So I can see him doing kids movies. They work. I mean, they are meant for small kids, and they're kind of entertaining and cool. I wouldn't recommend him as a first-time watcher of his film, because that's not really what he's famous for. A lot of his work also is it's not hard to follow, but it's a bit oddly put together. He doesn't tell linear stories, and he doesn't really care if you're going to follow it. You'll figure it out by the end of the movie, and he assumes it, and you do, so I can't really fault him in that type of logic. So this movie is pretty well put together. I mean, you can definitely see his maturity as a filmmaker. It's nicely shot. The atmosphere works well. The music works very well. And the actors are all really good. I never felt any hokiness in this at all. It was very straightforward. The main character, apparently he's done a lot of Japanese TV. I haven't seen him before this, but he's fantastic. You can look at this movie in 2 ways, and I'm going to really keep away from spoilers on this, since it is a brand new movie, and I want people to see it, so don't worry about that. You can view this movie in 2 ways. Dead on serious, with the odd elements being more comedic, or not a parody, but a social satire. And it can definitely be seen as that, and in all honesty, that's how Miike works, in my opinion. It's very much a social satire, especially dealing with Americans and stuff like Sandy Hook. I really got that vibe from this. And if you're someone who's very easily offended, you probably already stopped watching this video by now, and you would never watch a Miike film anyway. But if you are, you might want to stay away. So other than that, I'm going to say you definitely should check out this film. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it's a very slow burn, especially in the start. It plays as a very solid drama. You've got the main character who's a teacher at a new school. It's, I believe, year 2, something like a equivalent of sophomores in America. The students are like 15-ish. And, they start out, we have a problem with cheating in the schools, and they want to figure out a way to solve this. Very well acted, very straight. There's no point where you understand it's a satire until it's already too late that we're getting into this. So the methodical manner in which he builds from the beginning of the movie to the movie's nearly 40-minute climax, which is fantastic, you get invested in the characters, and that's fantastic. It separates it from any kind of typical violent or splatter film or anything like that. It makes a very emotional attachment to all these characters. There are several characters, including the students and the teachers, that are important to the story, and he spends enough time developing them that they have some depth, but not so much as just to completely bore you. Again, it is a Miike film, so some things are kind of weird. He does flashbacks where you're learning about what happened in the past, and on first watch, the friends I was watching this with, a couple of them had that confusion of, wait, what's happening here? Who is this? Again, Miike assumes, and I like this about him, he assumes the watcher is not an idiot. So you don't have that typical thing in an American film when you see a flashback. You're going to know it's a flashback. You're going to get something obnoxious like, I remember when, and we go back. You don't necessarily need that. Kind of like at the end of a movie, right at the big climax scenes happens, the main character has to remember something we saw in the movie just 45 minutes ago, as if we're so stupid we can't even remember what happened in the movie. That's kind of a thing I think a lot of the studios do with test audiences if they get confused. And it's not necessary. I mean, it really isn't. You had a movie like Inception that did really good in the mainstream, and it didn't pander to people being confused. So I'm not sure why they do that, but then again, a lot of studio interference in movies creates a mess. Obviously, Miike doesn't suffer from this. He does whatever the hell he wants. And if you've seen any of his movies, you know what I mean. He just does whatever he feels like. So you've got some great cinematography, excellent use of music to set the tone. And another thing he does too is there's a lot of no music, which adds to the intensity of the scene. Sometimes without music, it can be dull. If you've ever watched a movie with mute and remove the music, scenes can lose their impact. But he does it in a way where when he pulls out the music, it just makes it seem more bleak. So it just adds to the overall seriousness and the powerful tone that he's conveying in the movie. So our main character, we get to see his life. We get to see his interactions with everybody else in the film, with the students, with other teachers. There's a lot of turmoil. There's teachers sleeping with students. There's rampant cheating going on. There's an abusive parent involved, and he, the main character, wants to help all of these kids and wants to make everything better and make the school a better place. So you've got that. There are some surreal moments where you're going back in time and then he's pulling forward his memories, so you get some very eerie, altered personality conversations. And those scenes work really well. They're freaky at first when you see them, like, wait, what's going on here? You know, but it works. There is a great scene where, and this isn't a spoiler, but you gotta watch for it. One of the characters, there's a scene in which a character has an opportunity to possibly stop the killer, but a girl's panties are thrown at him. And, of course, he catches them, and immediately sniffs them. Which, the scene is so funny that it works great, and that's one of the hilarious scenes in the movie. And again, I think that's a lot of Miike's satirical intention. The ending of the movie is not what you're going to expect. The last 40 minutes are intense. He does just amazing stuff with his foreshadowing. I'm not sure if he intended a Hunger Games nod in there, but I think he did. And at least to me, it felt like it was, and that part was brilliant. Be sure to watch out for that. I'm trying to think what else to say without ruining it, because I think this is a movie that needs to be seen. It's really cool. The ending is interesting. My understanding is there is no sequel to this movie, so the ending is what you get. It wraps it up in a very interesting way. So I'm going to keep this short, and I'm going to highly recommend this. If you're a fan of Miike and you haven't really been getting into his previous decade of work, just because, I mean, I like him. Some of them are great dramas, but you kind of miss the violence and the excess that you got with his older stuff. You're gonna like this, the last 40 minutes especially. And I think he took what he's learned over the past decade of making more serious movies. He's taken that, and he's combined the excess and satire of Enichi the Killer into one excellent film. I'm going to give the film a 9 out of 10. I really, really enjoyed this film. From the drama to the violence to everything about it, it was entertaining. By the end of the movie, I felt like I'd really seen something special and cool. As for the media, I picked this up out of China. The Chinese version has subtitles, and it's way cheaper than the Japanese version is going to be. So I recommend picking up. It is a beautiful, pristine print, English, Chinese subtitles. They're all fantastic. The only thing you're going to be missing, again, with most Chinese releases, if you haven't picked them up before, they don't have jack for extras. There's a trailer, and that's all that's in this. So that part sucks. But the print looks really good. Blacks are just beautifully clear. There's no crushing anywhere. So it's an excellent print and a great movie. So I'll give the media another 9 out of 10. I mean, there's just no extras, and so it's a bare bones release, but got a nice little cover here, same as they use in Japan. And there you have it. That is Lesson of the Evil. So again, highly recommend checking this out. It's a very, very cool film. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Be sure to like the video, share it, give me any comments, and let me know anything else you want to see us check out here. So until next time at Movie Mayhem, we bid you adieu.